go get her. All the way around my pretty little widow, black boots, and I'll go get her.
Friday 13 is back, folks, and I'm live and as buzzed as ever. Friday 13 does not stop. It just keeps going on and on and on. I like the randomness of all the dates. You know, one of the good things about all these fucking videos I've been making, none of my friends will bother watching these things. None of the people I know will watch them. My ego's too strong. It's just too much for them to ingest. It's way too much George. So whoever wants to watch all this stuff obviously doesn't know me. I'm over here in this is this building that has been storing my shit for years. It's a family property, but I'm being booted out of here. You know, I was trying to get some shit done. Trying to talk last night, but man, I just got drank too much beer. Plus, in late evening, my temperament isn't always the best. Fuck. eBay's changed a lot. eBay, see, the good wild days of eBay and the collectors are all gone. And I can tell just by whatever sale I've gotten there, all the people who bid, I had to drive them there. And so I don't think there's hardly, my old eBay folk art buying crowd, I think that they're done. They've tapped out on Chicken George. There's no more of it. And so, but it's time for the change. So I was going to blab about some happen after the West Fest. I had this big deal out there where I set up and try to sell work, and it was more or less just for show and having a fun time. But one of the interesting conversations I got in after that was this person who was like a promoter type, and they were asking me some questions about me cohabbing the event, you know, what I was doing, and was I profiting from the event? And I'm like, profiting from the event? Well, how the hell do you think I'm So I'm getting the poster. The Westfest is going to produce a barbecue. They make these posters every time, but they're always real generic. There's all these little barbecues and events, and they're always the county agrees to like produce. They get the money from the county to produce a local cultural event. Well, so Westfest has got money to produce this poster, and I asked if I could make the illustration for it, or the idea of it, you know. And so it's like it can have these two guys that I know, Tim, and the fire chief of the volunteer fire department. I'm gonna make them on both sides of this grill, and we'll put a goat on top of it, and it's gonna be like, hey, that goat can't smoke itself, you know. And both of the guys are like, what the fuck, you know. I thought it'd be a funny painting. I gotta get back over there and make the damn thing too, because I want to make it look really good. But so I was gonna make this poster, and I was gonna generate I was gonna print off my own poster and then have theirs. That I was gonna give them the picture and maybe even try to help them out in design. But the thing was that I was talking about having making my own run for the poster, and this person said, "You're gonna try to profit off of that event and sell?" And I said, "There's no one gonna buy nothing like that, you know. I may sell one or two of them for just cost, you know, but mostly just to keep it as a keepsake, you know." And then I started understanding this whole thing. You know, that the event they had, a lot of these little fairs, they get these music gigs that go in there, and they always have these promoter types, these people who are going to try to make it the biggest, baddest thing ever, and they always they think if they can hire a celebrity to come in, and they'll bring in all these fans and people buying shit, you know. At this one event, they brought this band. It's out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, no one, even their groupies of that band aren't going to show up necessarily. They don't have hordes of fans that are going to come and make the event more popular, but they spend a lot of money getting that band there. Bands cost a lot of money to do these types of things. They just don't do it for free, you know. So this person asking me, you know, about how I was profiting off this event, and I said, well, ask them. This person, I guess, is promoter, you know, retailer. I said, well, why I don't get this. Why do you guys pay? Why don't you charge bands to play in your venue? I mean, they're profiting off your event. They can sell the little merch on the side. They can co-opt your identity. You know, why is it that you want to charge the artist or anyone else who wants to participate, or even try to make the event more popular by having more things to look at? That's why people go to events to fucking begin with. Why is it that the artist types are always charged and the bands aren't charged? Events, and you have someone there who's trying to what's the word? Trying to run like a strict business, and they're trying to get every little nickel and dime out of it. They don't realize that the event's just trying to launch itself. And you have to invest and you have to get people into it to even make it popular. That's what makes it. That's how it starts making more money. Is when you get a shitload of people showing up there, but you can't do it with treating every person who wants to participate and having them charge tickets or playing all these asinine games with them. That's not even fun. It don't work like that. Go to like a touristy place, or because they're all over Texas. Every little town's got a little touristy section, and they want to support the arts. That's a big deal. The arts are important. We gotta support the arts. Of course they're gonna charge you. Who's the artist in the town? Who's gonna be the person that's gonna step up? This is local politics. This is not being in a real art scene, in my opinion. But when you have this local, so when they have all these retailers and they want to have the local artists, well, then they hit them with all these scenarios. And it's just like, would you do that to a musician? The county wants to have a musician. We love music. We love music. We love all kinds of music. And, it's always some city official. We're gonna have a festival about music, and then they imagine the kind of characters that want to show up there. Well, since you're here on our stage, we're not going to charge you because we want to support you. But we're going to charge $20 tickets. We're going to have a blankety blank. Can you imagine the music that's going to get played there? What it sounds like, and the people those people aren't really interested in music. Really, come down to it. It's just a goddamn term, basically, to create an event over. It could be no different than selling, like the other local. So I don't. That's why you shouldn't get. In some degree, you should avoid a lot of festival scenarios. But as an artist, make stuff. The public they will buy, and also if you're not since I'm not in New York, I'm not represented by anything big. There's nothing wrong with, in my opinion, just fish in the ponds. That's what I call it. But the real big one was the build up to the shotgun show, which I took that pretty seriously. But I had such little time. Check it out. This is my trailer. This is like my folks are getting rid of shit, and it's like an old trailer from my dad used to ride motorcycles. So this was like something that was bought in the 70s or early 70s. So I'm going to figure out the title on it, and I'm going to repaint it. I'm actually going to put up a big big bucket in here, a wooden bucket, I used to call it, and eventually turn it into a shotgun show. Turned out really good, and one of the things that I sold like 14 paintings out of that deal, and they took no cut. I rented the space, and the guy who rented it to me to turn around and bought something. So it's like completely justified. And I stayed at Airbnb related to the place. It was a one-night event. It was totally worth it. I enjoyed talking to people and getting to know them. Kind of got drunk. There's no babes there. That's the only problem. So there's no happy endings, which I guess I have to get used to here. But the funny thing, here's one of the funniest things about that, is that I went to a show they had there earlier, that month, and they gave a talk at this place called Cedars, and so it was like a nonprofit organization. So I wanted to give a talk, and they kind of changed the talk to put me on a panel. It was me and this other guy, who he sells on Artsy, and so I was going to contrast my experience on eBay to his Artsy experience. And I just saw this like I was at an AA meeting. I was doing confessional almost. And I wanted to talk about what motivated me to get on eBay and how posting on eBay affected my production and how I operate as an individual. And I talked about the excitement, and I said, this is something you just don't get to see. If you have a lot of people bidding and fighting, working your work up, it's a real kind of you get addicted to it. And that's just kind of like wanted to talk about it as an addiction, which I still think is fun. But if the addictions, if you're addicted to something like beer, and all of a sudden you realize that the beer you're drinking is now, they don't sell beer with alcohol in it, they're selling you near beer, you just don't get it doesn't seem the same. For some reason it seems different. And that's the same thing with eBay. eBay is just sort of like, and also eBay sabotaged all of it themselves. And I kind of pointed that out in this little talk. I said they removed the buyers, you can't tell who's bidding. They're trying to make it, quote, for your own safety and security. They're basically making it the drama free in some.